Pramak Das. I'm once again back for one more interesting and power-packed corporate video. This video is basically about a very important topic which is definitely really causing most of you to really worry nowadays. I'm going to speak today about out-of-the-box leadership. So you might be thinking that what is exactly out-of-the-box leadership, or many of you have already heard about this out-of-the-box leadership. I'm Pramankur. I'm an international keynote speaker and a motivator, once again back for an interesting video on leadership series. So as I said, today's topic is out-of-the-box leadership. So what actually is the word out of the box, or what exactly we mean by in the box? So all these things, if you really have to understand, I request you to watch this video till the end so that you can get some important information and knowledge, and I'm sure that you are going to be benefited after watching this video and your life is going to change forever. Well, most of the time we actually come across a lot of successful companies, and most of the leaders in these companies often say that we are not actually getting the kind of results or the return which we look for. And that is why we see throughout the world people are keeping on hunting the best CEOs, the best managers, and possibly we all think of training them to the maximum. And that is why we think that the best leaders are capable to give best of the business success. But is it only that we are always looking for the best of the business success, or is it something more deeper into that? Yes, my friends, I'm going to tell you some information which is going to be a big mind changer for you, which you have never witnessed before. So generally, when we talk about a leader, we know that there are four kinds of leaders. Those who are basically called autocrats, who actually believe that the things should go the way they like the things to be. They are more like a dictator. And the second kind of leader are the participative one, or the democratic leaders, who always take consensus from others before they arrive at a conclusion. And the third one is the laissez-faire, or the free rein kind of leaders, who always allow others to take on the charge, and they finally really take the submission of the result or the report, and they give a lot of free rein to their workers so that they can explore things. And finally are the paternalistic leader, who are more like liberal, and they give a lot of collaboration to their workers, who are more liberal in their thinking. But in this video, I'm not going to actually discuss more in deeper about this type of leadership and what exactly are the various techniques in becoming a good leader, because these are all the very ancient topics which people must have discussed many a times, and you might be knowing all of them. But what is more important for us to understand today, that why in spite of knowing all these facts, we are still not able to solve most of the problem in our company. And that is why we can see in most of the families there are conflicts. There are a lot of companies who are not able to turn up. They are basically still going in loss, and there are a lot of vicious cycles running in our business. And if you really understand the secret, you will find that this is really a big changer for you. So what exactly is the need to go out of the box? First of all, let us understand that we are all living in some kind of limits. So box is nothing but the boundary of our concept. From the time we grow up, we actually get information through the various things like our education, which we get from the school, the university, and the people around us, and that builds a limit around us. That is what we sometimes call as the box or the limit. So this box sets our concepts, this box sets our capacity, and we always feel secure within that secured box. We never want to come out of that, and that is where we feel we are safe. it has been seen that when the people are asked to step out of that box, they are more insecure, and most of the time they are not really confident to take on decisions. And when they are within their secure zone, they are more happy and they are relaxed. But it has been seen that when you are actually going out of the box, sometimes you are really risking your reputation, you're risking your safety, and possibly very few are really daring to step out of the box. So what exactly is really required to step out of the box, and who really needs to step out of the box? Is it that very few have got only the decision to step out of the box, or is it everybody can step out of the box? So that is what I'll be discussing to you today. In fact, ironically, if you see, in the modern age, we all live in box. How? Yes, maybe if you talk about the place where we live in, the house, that's a box. From the house we just go to office, that is also a cab, that is also kind of a box. And from the cab we also go into our office, that is also a box. And maybe the cubicle or the office which you get in, that is also a box. So it's a box in box kind of a concept which is moving on. But we basically are going to talk about some box which is more in our mind, more in our thoughts. So if you really unblock those thoughts and concepts, I'm sure you'll be able to understand that how we can really go out of the box. So if you see, generally when you talk about out of the box, it is possibly a boardroom meeting going on, a CEO steps in or the leader steps in, and he asks his junior executive that, tell me what exactly you have which is going to be innovative. So they are all asked to come with their out of the box ideas, and that is why possibly when you are thinking about bringing in out new ideas and innovations which can change things. So most of the leaders who actually talk about out of the box, maybe they still are living within their box. So if you really talk about stepping out of your secure zone, for that, first of all, you need to understand what is self-deception. Yes, self-deception is an inability to see your own mistakes, and most of the leaders actually cannot see their own mistakes. Why most of the leaders, most of the people I should say, they do not really like looking at their own mistakes, and that is why we are suffering from a serious ailment called a self-deception. So the first roadblock to become out of the box or to come out of the box is to get free or get rid of self-deception. So if you are also suffering from the similar syndrome of self-deception, the first problem which you should try to overcome is that you need to understand that when you are trying to find a fault with others, is that which you are not seriously responsible, because that is a syndrome which starts when you are suffering from self-betrayal, and we always try to justify our thoughts by our own way of thinking, and we try to treat the world by thinking that whatever we think is correct, and that is how you try to make it legitimize with your way and with your concepts. And that is why you always try to take a decision which is contrary to that what you should really do for another thing, and that is when you actually are betraying yourself. And the more you betray yourself, you get into the box. So many of us who are actually always trying to find fault with others without saying that what exactly is really lacking in my part, I think that is when you go in the box. So if you are really trying to make a breakthrough, if you're trying to come up with an innovative idea, the first thing you should do is stop joining the rat race by just following certain information which you have perhaps learned for the ages, and that is where you believe that the boss is always right, and you are actually a kind of leader who is always going to make things and others are going to follow. So why people should follow? People should only follow a leader who is really successful in giving in the feeling of safety, the feeling of comfort, the feeling of encouragement, a person who is confident enough in giving the kind of safe, secure and good environment. I give you an example. I often come across some people in Indian Army I basically happened to go once into the army for giving a training on behavioral skills. When I was coming across few people, I asked them a question that why you have chosen army. They have said that this is a big job for them because they get an opportunity to sacrifice their life for their motherland. And I was really more surprised when I come to know that most of them have bright backgrounds. They really could have easily taken a corporate job, but they chosen this field because they felt that this is a job which is going to give them more satisfaction and which is more closer to their heart. So now if you talk about the facilities or the opportunities which possibly people get in army are very limited, but still they are preferring to go in army and they sacrifice their sweat and blood and tears and their life for the country, for the safety, for the betterment, for the patriotism of the country. And whereas in corporate sectors we give high paying salary, high paying bonuses, we give lot of fat opportunities to those CEOs and those C-level people, but still we cannot get even the 1% of that dedication and sacrifice. So what is going wrong? Actually, it is the environment. The kind of environment we build around, that is what makes the difference. And that is where we have to think that how we can ask people to come out of the box. And that is where coming out of the mental limits or the safety paradigms which you have set for yourself. And my friends, if you really want to understand, in fact it is more deep rooted within our way of working, within our way of thinking and treating people. You will see that most of the leaders, they always think that their success is more important, and for them others are just the ways or the issues to obtain that success. And many a times for them it is not important that what matters to others, it is important that how much it affects their ROI or ROMI or their business turnover. So next time they are taking a decision to lay over during recession, they do not talk about really how people feel like, because for them that time is important, that how to slash down the employees so that they can save some $1 million for their betterment and for their company. I give you a small example. There's one famous businessman by the name of Bob Chapman. He basically used to run a manufacturing business somewhere in Midwest in the United States. Once in the time of recession, there was a very tough decision to be taken. They were talking about laying off the people. All board members thought that we should lay off some of our laborers. But Bob really didn't accept. He refused the decision. He said that for me what is important, it is not the head count but the heart count. So how many of my people are really connected through me? I should make sure that all the executive and the directors are going to take unpaid vacations for the next year, and we will ensure that we don't have to lay over our employees, so that if they are together, maybe tomorrow we can get more clients and our business will again shoot up. So this example is very important. Similarly, there is another example I can give you. There is another company which I've heard about, Next Jump, which is a very famous company in New York City in United States, where the CEO believes that if an employee gets a job in the company, he is actually never asked to leave the organization or is never fired for his performance, because they believe that once some employee or the team member join, they become like a part of a family. So when there is a crisis in a family, do we ask the children or the son or daughter to leave the family? Not really. We rather coach them. We give them the kind of guidance so that they can get rid of their failure and they can do better. So sometimes it is just like thinking like a parent, thinking like a guardian. A good leader always empowers. A good leader always helps you to perform better. So a good leader always creates leader around him, but a bad leader always like to have followers behind him. So that is what is the secret of leadership. And my friends, you can only come out of the box when you really start stopping Or I should say that you should really not believe in blaming, because most of the time we are busy in blaming others. And when we blame, because we want to justify things in our way of saying things, and that is why we find it more legitimate to blame others. But when we blame others, we actually do not take the responsibility, and we just try to make ourselves feel comfortable that it is never our mistake, it is never our fault, it is always the mistake on the other side, because you have always a magnifying glass to find faults for people. So if you are really trying to find fault with the employees, you'll always see the problem. And do you know what the employee think about the boss? They think that the boss is basically a jerk, he is a psyche, he is always hovering around me, he is a kind of a maniac. At the similar time, the boss is thinking possibly he is not doing my work, and sometimes you have a mental block that you are not ready to listen to his criticism, and possibly you are not seeing even the goodness in an employee, and that is where you actually become only negative, and a time comes when you want to throw that person out of the company. But this is not always the right thing. And the same thing goes even in a family. When we find that there are some deadlock, there are some relationship issue, we never try to see the issue or the concern at the other side. So when we mutually try to understand each other, many of such problems can get easily sorted. So if you really want to go out of the box, the first thing which you should do is, number one, is you should start seeing people not just as objective but rather as human beings. And second is when you should really understand that honor people's wishes and try to see them in their way of interest, and try to understand that what is genuinely beneficial for them. Then only you can start coming out of the box. And the third thing, if you really want to engage people out of the box, then you have to first understand that it is important for you to understand that if you are also on the other side, how you will feel if the same decision was taken on you. And the fourth thing, which is very important, that if you really want to come out of the box, then first you need to understand that unless you step out, you never know that what exactly are your weaknesses, and if you never win your weaknesses, you can ever be able to make it your strength. So these are the four things which you can really do to step out of the box. And once you achieve these four qualities within yourself, I'm sure you'll be a successful leader who can think out of the box. And I'm sure you have been able to gain few knowledge out of this video. And if you really like this kind of videos and want to see some more information on leadership, please give your comments and share this video and like it, so that I can come back with more such informative information for you. Thank you, friends.